Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all.
Good morning.
It is 10 o'clock, which means this is Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour, number 82. I put out our trailer video last week on the AAW. We got into one of the AAW newsletters. We haven't actually shown that here, but it's been in the emails. So if you haven't had a chance to watch the coffee hour sampler, it's only a 5-minute video. And as a result of that, I got 12 inquiries from AAW members asking to be on our list. And I can see 3 or 4 of them are here this morning. I see Henry down there. I see Richard Hopner and Michael Gibson, Carl Litzgau. I recognize everybody else, I think. Anybody else who's new here, first time today? There's we do have new kids here today. We do have a few informal, I wouldn't even call them ground rules, rather advisories. Turn your phone off.
Take your phone, hon, and turn it. Put it in the other room.
Yeah, when your wife comes in the room and starts to talk to you, mute yourself. Likewise, if you're going to go flush the toilet, mute yourself. When you want to talk or hold the floor, you can raise hand and I'll see you, or you can use the raise hand function, which is down at the bottom of the screen under reactions. If you click the little ball that says reactions, the first thing on the list that comes up is raise hand. And when you do that, it pops you up to the upper left of my screen, which Ray Simmons has just done. And I think that carries through for the rest of you, but I'm not sure. Anyway, when you raise hand, I know that you've raised hand and I see it. So even if we're in the middle of somebody else presenting, we'll get to you. If you intend to share photos, you have a number of choices. If you've never shared photos on Zoom before, please log on early and practice with me first. Otherwise, you'll burn 5-10 minutes of club time trying to figure it out. If you are comfortable sharing photos or videos, you're welcome to do it. Sharing permission is on here. If you don't want to deal with any of that, you can email your photos to Doug Reeser, who's on the screen down on the bottom there, was represented by his ginormous walnut platter. And Doug will show them on your behalf, as several members have done this morning. The other thing you can always do is you can always hold work up and point to it. Works fine. You can even do what I've done over here in this screen here called Red Phone, which I'm going to just spotlight for the moment here. That's a picture shot with a phone in the room. So I'm online with my computer in the meeting, but I also have a phone on a little easel over there taking a picture of a show and tell. And then I can remove the spotlight and get the screen back to gallery view, I think. I wanted to ask the group who was here last week for Malcolm Zander's presentation on piercing. It was a 2-part presentation. Malcolm showed us how he does it and why he does it and told his own story. And then he told a long story about Bin Pho, one of the great artists of the current wood turning art revival, and his relationship to Bin Pho and their collaborations over the years and Bin's amazing life and everything like that. So what did you guys think of those 2 presentations? Any comments?
I thoroughly enjoyed them. I sat back, relaxed, just sent it up on the big screen and was able to see a lot more detail than I usually see here on the computer. It was a very impressive presentation.
I thought so too. I agree with that.
I would also echo that. I was feeling, this is Alan.
Oh, yeah.
I was feeling somewhat pressed for time last week. Really did not think I would stay for the entire 2 hours. I found it very, very helpful. As you already commented, a fairly extensive number of comments in the second hour about, having trouble with the man's name, but that was the part where toward the end, I think I left a few minutes before 12 o'clock. I was surprised how long I did stay, though, not having intended to stay that long. But I did appreciate what he had to say.
So I kind of agree with your comments. I love the whole thing. I would like to have seen a little bit more of his demo of his actual, workings as a comment for feedback is all.
Well,
So
did Did it bother you, Ted, that do you care that his demo part was all on video? He was not down in the shop doing live, making chips fly? Does that matter?
No, I don't think that matters too much. I just would have liked to have seen more of it. The story was very interesting, perhaps a little bit too long.
Anybody else?
Yeah, John, Doug here. I guess I must have missed where he's going to, his second part of his program was going to be mostly about Ben Faux as opposed to segmented piercing, because I would have liked a little bit more detail as well about some of the piercing work that he does and some of the other figures he does. The actual pictures were fine as opposed to a demonstration, because when you're handling it that small and that light, it's got to be very difficult to concentrate on anything except for what you're doing. It's just, I felt that I could have used a little bit more piercing information. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Yeah, John, I thought it was like two completely separable presentations that he gave. The Ben Faux tribute was very enjoyable, and he did an excellent narrating job. In my mind, I could almost picture like an Oriental theme song going in the music in the background. But I, like other people have said, it would have been preferable if he had done a little more time on the actual piercing work. And I actually liked the format of video clips strung together that told the story.
I do too, actually. It's very, and from a producer point of view, it's very much easier to manage, to get done. Anybody else? I will say that we had, I think 30 or more than 30 on screen for the presentation. And I've been posting, the videos will only be up till the end of the year. They're posted on the club website, and the piercing adventures in piercing so far has had 42 views, and the Ben Faux tribute has had 18 views. They're up as separate videos. So any other comments on Malcolm Zander and Malcolm's presentation? Carl, how are you?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. I saw him 7 or 8 or no, maybe even as long as 20 years ago. And if anybody really would like to read his book, it's well worth it. He's had quite a life.
Oh, okay. Who wants to show work today?
I have some, John.
Probably.
If you use raise hand, it's better. That basically gives me a list. So use raise hand if you can find it. If you can't, stick your hand up.
I did raise hand a couple times.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I've got 6 or 8. I got 8, 9. I got a whole bunch of people there with raised hand. So I'm going to start at the top of the list and go around. Is there anybody who couldn't figure out raise hand who wants to be on that list? Ron, go for it. We're going to lead off with you today.
All right. First of all, I saw Mike Peace's picture there,
Yeah, he's here.
and I wanted to thank him because there you got my screen.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
I used Mike Peace's website, picked up on the mandrel to turn the pieces, drilled a hole in the bottom for weights. Mike uses pennies, but I didn't have any pennies, so I used lead buckshot. And dropped a little buckshot, drilled a 3/4 hole, about a 3/8 or a little more depth in the bottom. And then it goes onto a mandrel with a screw it through the middle to hold it on the mandrel. And it makes it really simple to turn the pieces. And I dropped the shot in there and a couple of drops of super glue and a little shim of Purple Heart on the bottom to glue it on to hold the lead in. Made the box. It's about 16 inches square, and the little trays slide in from each side to hold all the pieces underneath the board. About 3 or 3 1/4 inches high.
Let's see how you did the knights. Have you got a close up?
No, this is all I have on it. Mike has a real nice design on bandsawing it while they're in the square. And so I bandsawed the shapes and everything on them. And then when I cut the sides, then I glued that back on so that I had something to rest on against on the saw when we cut the other edge. And then I actually left those on with double stick tape and turned the knight in shape so that you don't get chip out, and then pull off the double sided tape, and it worked out real neat.
Beautiful set, Ron.
Yeah, and covered the bottom of the trays with felt. And I was gonna do scroll sawing to scroll out the numbers and the letters and so forth. And I actually tried a couple of them, but basically that's that intarsia, what you call, where you cut a cavity and then you cut the piece to put into it. And I'm not a scroll sawer, and I couldn't get anywhere close to it. So I just glued the numbers onto the side of the board and burned them down with my burner, and that worked out okay. So I shipped this down to my grandson's down in Texas. It weighed 17 pounds. That's inch and an eighth thick maple on there, so it's pretty heavy. But anyway, it was pretty simple making the pieces, actually, more so than I thought. But
Ron, what is the purpose of the board holes partway through the sides of the drawers?
that's a little strip. The base of the pieces go into that, and then they lay down on their side.
Oh, okay.
Did you tell him you hid the money in the characters?
Okay. Any other question?
What is the squares on top? What are they, like thin wood that has been bonded onto a substrate?
No, that is. I made the board with 3/4 thick strips of maple and walnut. And then you cross cut it and reverse every other one and glue it back together again.
So is that grain going vertical out of the board?
No. They're strips 14 inches long and
Oh, okay.
1.25 inches wide, and they're glued together. And then you cut them cross cut, and then I actually made one strip longer. Then the grains all go in the same direction.
So did you win the first game?
I'm not a chess player.
Oh,
All right. Thank you, Ron. Bruce Lamb, what do you got?
Well, I'm trying to stay with the theme here. Let's see. I think this is the right one. Yeah. So this is my first intentional funnel. And in fact, I even cored out, or actually I drilled out the back of the centerpiece here. Anyone want to take a guess at what this is?
Stephen Habin.
What's that?
Split it and glue it back together.
The Stephen Habin piece.
No. Wow, not even a guess.
Yeah, I'll move on. Show us.
It's Christmas time. It's a nutcracker. So
A nutcracker.
of course. It's about 12 inches in diameter sycamore, about 3 inches deep. And the only real difficult part is really needing a dry blank to do it so that the centerpiece doesn't move as it's drying. So I had to look pretty hard to find some dry blanks, but it came out pretty well. I've made a few of these for gifts. And then,
where did you get your nutcracker?
I believe that came from Craft Supply. That one is fully cast, so it's pretty heavy. In fact, it surprised me how heavy the mechanism is, and it bolts on from the back. I found it interesting, actually. Craft Supply tells you to epoxy them in, but it is so heavy that I just can't see that that's a good way to do it. But I use a large washer on the back to distribute the load a bit, and hopefully don't crack the wood when you horse the thing down. And then the other was just some scrap burl I had from the pieces I've been making into an ornament. And this one was hollowed out on the inside, which was probably, I found, more trouble than it was worth, but it makes it nice and light. And I did hollow out part of the roof piece as well. And there's just an ebony knob on the bottom. I wanted to make this survivable if it actually drops, because I was tempted to put a nice finial on the bottom, but I held back. And that's all I've got.
Nice piece of walnut.
Looks good.
Thank you. That's actually big leaf maple burl. And although the body of the piece doesn't have the burl figure, it actually came from the same piece of wood. It was just kind of underneath the burl.
Now, how big is that?
I think it's about 2 inches in diameter and a little bit more than 4 inches tall with the roof.
Okay. Very nice. Any questions for Bruce?
Big leaf maple, is that a name or I mean, is that a species?
You know, I wonder the same thing. I believe it is, and it's I believe out of Oregon that comes. It's not around us, but I've been able to pick up some burls in some local wood shops here that are coming from the West Coast.
It's Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, mountain lowlands.
Soft maple, probably.
It is a soft maple. Well, it's medium. It's a medium maple, as I recollect. Okay. Ray, what do you got?
We've been talking a lot about the ornaments. This is a tool. One of the guys made one of these. I got this, I think, from Don Derry years ago. Good price, works well, ornaments, birdhouses. One of the guys had one made up, very similar idea. And this is set up where you can actually flip this around and turn in reverse. So it's handy, it's nice, it wasn't very expensive. I don't think he sells them anymore. But I just wanted to show that if anybody wanted to do, this really helps with ornaments because the inside doesn't have to be really clean. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ray.
Ray, that the orientation of the handle there, not that I'm an accomplished hollower, but don't you normally want to have a much longer extension? I understand that the forked tine prevents rotation, but don't you have to have like cantilever action of a long handle?
No, I mean, ornament is so small that once you're out over the tool rest, you know, there's really not much stress on it at all. The arm takes anything, any pressure that's on it. I mean, it's all it's made is ornaments are as brave as you want to get. Ornament or a birdhouse, you're only going in a couple inches.
Barry, Doug Weiser here. I found in making ornaments that actually it's the twist that is far more troublesome than the other one. I use very short handled tools on my ornaments, and I've never had a problem with it catching, but it twists like mad if you're not careful, and that can destroy your ornament very quickly.
Yeah.
The cantilever doesn't bother me.
How big of a hole do you need for that, Barry? Alan here. I'm sorry, Ray.
I don't know, whatever, you know, 1/2 inch, a little over 3/8 probably.
Okay, well, yeah, the ones I've been turning, I've been having a hole 7/16, and that looks like that would be a bit large for a 7/16, but maybe not.
Well, you know, if you drill a hole, the fast way is you drill a hole and then go in at an angle because it's all supported.
Right, I see that, and that part looks good, yeah.
So, and then, you know, and it's so fast. I don't know, it works well. It's, you know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, any other questions for Ray? I must say I still prefer to make ornaments in 2 halves. Scoop them out and glue them back together. Fast and quick. Jerry Snelson, have you got a marionette there to show us?
I have a few things if I can share screen.
Yes, you can.
Do you see that?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, we do. Very nice.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's got lots of, that's from the scrap wood box. And you can see Bocody and curly maple from my fiddle making days, and oak over here, and maple, walnut, and walnut base, and so on. It's a German style nativity scene. I put it on a website called Older Artist, and I had put some other things there and got like 35 likes, and this one got over 1,000 in the first day. So, and they're all women, every one of them. So I'm glad to hear somebody say they liked it among men here.
Jerry, that's really good. What did you use for colors on the colored ones?
Sometimes I use acrylic paint, but I also use Martin Smith's stains, whatever the intrinsic stains.
Uh-huh. You got
So
more
what
pictures? We lost
Yes,
your
I
share.
do.
Yeah, we lost your share. Get your share back if you can.
Okay. I want for, here we go. That's an angel of light. It's Colwyn Way on the YouTube. Showed me how to make that. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so thank you. Here's, you saw one of these, you saw that guy right there, the German smoker, and he has a lieutenant here I made later. And then 20 some years ago, I made that nutcracker. And then a couple of weeks ago, I made that nutcracker.
Now go back to the smoker for a second. If I remember, they come apart at the waist and they have an incense burner in there.
Yes, exactly. If you lift straight up right here, the legs go up to a platform, and the platform sits on a ledge cut into the body. But on that sits, I use a candle holder, a bell-shaped candle holder, and a little incense piece that looks like a Hershey's Kiss. And it works great. I mean, the smoke just pours out of there. And these guys actually crack nuts, small nuts, of course. These guys smoke, and these guys, the smokers smoke and the nutcrackers crack nuts. Can you see that ZZ Claus?
Yes.
That's my
Jerry,
festive mood for last year in the height of COVID. This year, it's a little cheerier with that angel of light and the nativity scene. And then finally, John challenged me to make a marionette with all turned parts. So the hands had some carving in them, and the little skirt-like thing is obviously not a turned part, nor the mustache or hair, but everything else, including the ears, everything else there is a turned part. Now, it's not going to be my new way of making puppets because it's really fiddly. Took a long time to make him, and although the body is hollowed out, that's gum that Garold gave me, and the rest of it's walnut. He's pretty heavy.
So how long did it take to make that?
2 weeks of spare time.
Yeah.
It's just too fiddly. So
now, do you draw that first, or you working? What's your method?
Well, no, because he is modeled so closely after the German smokers. See how similar he is?
Yeah.
To them. He's bigger. However, he's definitely bigger.
How tall is this?
How tall is he? He's 16 inches, 18 inches tall.
Wow.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big boy, so he's a heavy boy. Well, that's what I want to show.
That's wonderful stuff, Jerry.
That's great.
Questions for Jerry? Well, I think you got a strong vote. I think I hear a lot of mm-hms. Everybody like that? We got a thumbs up. Can we see? Yeah. You got a whole screen full of thumbs up. That's great stuff.
My grandson loves it here. Tell me like.
Thank you.
Alan Miller, what do you got?
Sure. I'll try to do my share screen here. I've got two pictures, both that relate to ornaments, and see if I can slideshow.
You got it.
I'm going to go back one first. Go back one. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why there's a green border there. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
We're not seeing
So
it.
those are my 12 ornaments that I turned over the last 2 or 3 weeks here. Again, like others have said, just using a whole variety of different pieces from around the shop. Cedar, pear, spalted maple, yew.
How was your experience turning 12? How did you like burning multiples?
Yeah, as others said, the more you do, you get into a rhythm. I don't know that I had a great reduction in time. The first 1 or 2 probably took me. Now I did all the balls first, then all the finials, and then all the tops. But the first 1 or 2 for each of those might take an hour or so, not for the tops, but the finials and the balls. And then the finials, I think I got down to maybe 25 minutes or so, 20 minutes or so on the balls. And the tops, I think I had down to about 10 minutes a piece. So you get a feel after a while what you like, what you don't like. And yeah, it comes. In terms of coloring, let's see, there's some walnut in there too. I had my wife is good with colors, and let's see, I think it's the 5th one over. It's a pear, and I used a maple and then used a permanent marker, black, which did not look right at all. But
we're only seeing the 7 if there were 12 in the picture. The picture.
So yeah, for whatever reason, that's what that green screen's about. That's showing what you
Yeah.
So why?
Well, we don't know anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, but so on what you're seeing, you're probably seeing like the 3rd one from the right.
Right.
Kathy had a brown felt tip pen, and she colored that with the brown felt tip pen, and that gave a much nicer contrast there.
Alan, is that made from 1 piece or is that 3 pieces?
3 pieces. 3 pieces.
Okay. When you is the ball hollow or just?
Most of the balls are hollow. One of those spalted maple ones came off as I was starting to hollow it, and I just went ahead and left it that way. And most of them are hollowed. The U one, which would be the 2nd or 3rd from the right. When I finished that one, I weighed it, and the whole ornament came in at 0.7 ounces. So I thought that was on the light side.
That's good. Very good. Very fun.
Oh, yeah. Then the other picture. Here's the close-up of some of the work. Shucks. And you're only going to see about 1.5 there. But anyway.
That's what we're seeing. Yeah. We can see all 3 of them there in that view. We just don't see them huge. In fact, I can enlarge that just for the fun. Just okay.
Okay.
Stay there for a second. And
I just gave you all 12.
I got those.
We'll let you enlarge.
I see all 12 large. Does anybody else see them?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
Well, this is the vagaries of Zoom. You know, we do what we can. Nice bunch of ornaments.
That green, okay. I can't explain it, but I did something different, and I got you a few more showing there.
Okay.
Anyway, okay.
All right. Any other questions for Alan? Is that it from you today, Alan? You got something else?
Well, the other comment I would make, John, is that for me, on the balls, the bulk of that time was getting the sphere on the outside. Hollowing out the inside was no more than 2 or 3 minutes. Those balls are 1.25 inches, most of them. And that didn't take long at all to put a hole in to get those hollow.
Very cool.
Yep.
Barry, what do you got?
I have a bunch of white oak that was already milled to 3/4 thick And just because it was the wood that I had the most of, I'm making a set of plate chargers. You can see they're quite thin. But for a New Year's party, we got a dinner plate, and just based on the the foot rim diameter down there, it's about a 7-inch rim diameter. It goes into this plate, self-centers, and it's just like Martha Stewart-y kind of holiday decoration for the meal.
Very nice.
And it started off a lot more fun than about the 10th one. It started getting kind of old and making me wish I had actually bought a different wood rather than use white oak just because I had it on hand. It is not it's not really a fun wood to turn. So that's it.
Questions for Barry?
That's a nice result.
Yeah, indeed it is. Garold, what do you got?
Okay, I like to do different things. I don't like to do a lot of the same things. So what I have are some just small turnings that have been enhanced. And if you notice the grain, what I've done here is take a torch to the wood, burn out the spring wood a little bit, painted it, and then put a white artist pigment into the soft wood. And here you can see a vertical grain. And if you turn it in the opposite direction, you get a horizontal grain. There is a problem. Notice that line right down the center. That's a check or a crack due to heat from the torch. You take a propane torch and burn them to get rid of the soft grain.
How does it matter,
that,
Garold? How does it
Pardon
matter?
me?
How does the crack matter in that piece? What's the difference? So what?
Well, it's vertical as opposed to running horizontal with the rest of the grain. And it cracked on both sides. I don't know this side yet. You can see this side too. So I eliminated that problem by putting a piece in. Oh, isn't that neat? I've got the virtual background on, and this is a green color. So the only thing you're seeing is just the grain, the white color of the grain.
Superb clear vessel. I love it.
That is really
It's
neat.
a ghost.
Gerald
Yeah.
invented turned glass.
I have a transparent wood turning. The neat thing here was I sandblasted this one to eliminate the checking from the heat, and that seemed to work quite well. If you note it well, this one you can't tell because of the color there. Maybe this will show up different. The white artist pigment works better in the soft grain than in this case it was a red color. It doesn't show up as much of a contrast. So I just played around with some different shapes just to enhance something that you might be turning, thought you might be interested.
So I have a question for you. The first one, you said you use a torch and it was black. I understand that. So the others have a different color. So how did you do
Well,
that?
this was painted also.
Oh, okay. So you torched it first, then painted it?
You torched it, and then you take a wire brush to it and brush out the soft grain, and then paint the whole thing. And then you use an artist pigment. In this case, it was white. While it's still on the lathe, you don't have to spin it. You can just apply the paint, and you rub it in with your finger, and then while you turn the lathe on, let it spin, and polish it off.
Wonderful.
Or buff it off.
Okay, so that pigment goes in the end grains, and that's how you get that. So you painted it, then you added the pigment.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Are they made from ash?
It is ash. You have to use an open grain wood.
Yeah, white oak works.
Ash, oak, walnut.
Okay, I'm going to show you something else here if I can still get it. Hang on one second. Yeah, this is an ornament I actually made last year. As you can see, it's floating in air, and this is the ball. Oops. So Self-assembly Christmas ornament.
Nice.
And with magnets again, eh?
Yeah. Magnets. My shop is full of magnets. I can't help it. It's a
You're
disease.
such a magnetic personality, right? So,
I think Jeff Carroll's next in queue. What do you got, Jeff?
And the elves have been busy. We have tops for the grandkids. Have an ornament.
That's an inside-out turning, is that right?
Yeah, well, we drilled them and then turned them.
Drilled and turned, okay.
Right. We have some sea urchins with finials.
Now, do you connect the finials with a dowel inside the urchin?
Yes. Drill a 1/4-inch hole in each finial and cut the dowel to length.
You've been busy.
Yeah, and then Kathy had shown the lamps we had done with sea urchins.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of those, but
Those are the ones that like change colors when you turn the lamp on.
right. Both of these have a clear light in it, so they do not change colors, but I have some of the colored lights, but they're fun to turn. And that's about it.
All right.
Yes, Jeff, where you got parts?
Questions for Jeff?
You have a battery in those, Jeff? This is Alan.
Yes, the lights come as a unit, and there's 3 little batteries connected together. Inside, you just screw it off and I'll show you the battery pack, but
They're button batteries.
Watch batteries.
Right.
Watch.
they don't have a long life to them, but the lights are real cheap. So
That's what I was gonna say. The lights themselves are, I think we ended up figuring they were like 20 or 30 cents a piece. So it's cheaper just to just to buy a bunch of lights and replace the lights rather than buying batteries for them.
Okay. Anybody else on that?
are your tops any of them what you call the jump up or whatever you call the kind when you spin it, it spins over and sets up?
Flippy tippy top. No, I
Yeah.
have not mastered that yet.
Okay.
And they might, but I can't make them do it. So
It seems
Okay.
like the point is the significant factor in this. So
I don't know. It's hard. I've tried it a half dozen times. I can't do it either. I've seen several guys on here can though. So
Made a few of them, but they're hard to make.
they are hard to get right. Michael Gibson, you're new here. What do you got?
This is my latest piece. Oh,
We're looking at your face now. There you go. Yeah.
this was made by turning 2 vases to start with to get the shape of the leaves. I'll find one that's really curled.
Yeah. Hold still. Hold it still is better. Yeah. Now we can see it. Good.
So to get the shape of the leaves, I turn 2 vases, then cut the leaves out, and then each one there's pyro work to make the veins, and then SK to do the texture between the leaves.
Wonderful.
And then I had to glue each piece all together again.
Now, did you turn the vase as thin as that looks, or did you thin them out after you cut them
No,
apart?
I turned them to about 3/32.
Very good. Where are you calling in from, Michael?
In England,
Where in England?
I live in the north of Atlanta at the moment,
Ah.
but I come from England. I last lived in a little village called Burnham and Crouch in Essex, and I was born in Kent.
Okay, but you're in Atlanta now, in the States.
Yeah, just north of Atlanta.
Yeah. Any
This
questions?
is my piece. Michael and I are in the same club.
Hi, Mike.
Michael, did you actually intend to do that, or did you break the vases and decide to cut leaves?
I cut the pieces from the vase, each individual piece.
Yeah.
He's making fun of you. He's asking whether you, the vase broke and then you decided to make leaves or what?
No, I had this in mind. Well, what I didn't have in mind is how I was what form I was gonna glue it up all together. And you can only glue one leaf at a time. So each leaf took me a day just to assemble it, reassemble it.
Jeez.
You see the underside's done as well. Both sides of the leaves are done.
Oh,
That's a brilliant job.
that's,
Good work.
yeah, that's very excellent.
Thank you.
That's gorgeous.
Michael, how do you texture the leaf surface?
That's done with an NSK. If I can, my camera's not that good. Let me see if I can go back a little bit.
Yeah, no, we can see it. The more you hold still, the better the camera does.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the veins were done with a pyro pen, and the texture was done with NSK, and then I used airbrush paints to get the colors.
When you say NSK, you mean one of those high-speed tools like Zander uses for piercing, don't you?
That's right, yeah, dental tool.
Yeah. All right. Very
Do you
impressive
cut the
stuff.
vase in half before you try and cut those out, or is there some other trick you use?
Could you repeat that?
Do you cut the vase in half lengthwise or something before
Oh.
you cut those, or what do you do?
What I done is I found online just a little image of a maple leaf, and then I glued it onto the side so I could cut out the leaf individually. And I still used more of a cutting tool in a Dremel type tool. It was what do you call it? A micromotor with a cutting edge, so I could cut the leaves out fast. And then to get the finer details of the leaves, I used another little burr just to get the shapes.
So there's
Well,
as much carving as turning in that.
I beg your pardon?
There's as much carving as turning in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not carving, I would say it's more texturing and piercing.
Right.
Very time consuming.
Yes.
Sounds like a great demonstration if you're willing, Michael.
Pardon?
It sounds like it'd be a great demonstration for the club
Oh.
if you're willing.
Yeah.
Yes, I do one on a Asian style bowl. You know, a little rice bowl, which I pierced out and made the leaves in between. I haven't got it here, but
show it to us next
can
time.
do that.
Show it to us next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Michael, how thin do you turn the wall on the vase?
3/32. I found the 16th was a fraction too small if you go into the end grains. So I started making them a little thicker and made them up to 3/32, which I think is ideal for the piercing.
Okay,
All right. Very nice work.
very nice work.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Bob Mathers, what about you? What do you have over there?
Let me see if I can get my camera turned around here. My work is, it's all the tulip poplar that I got from my backyard. My wife wanted the piece in the front. When you first start turning this, is fairly light until you put the finish on. And then I noticed here that the one in front actually has a cherry stain with a spar urethane coating on it. And then the lid there is I got those, I think it was for Penn State Industries. They're pewter, I believe, lids that you can put on the top before you put the potpourri in. And that turned out nice, but the ones in the back, my sister wanted some bowls to put her keys and her mask in when she came in from work by her front door. But when I put the polymerized linseed oil, which is Danish oil from Tried and True, I noticed the color comes out pretty, it was supposed to be much lighter. It came out much darker. I plan on putting another coat on. They've got Tried and True with polymerized linseed oil and beeswax. I'm hoping that'll, brighten it up a little bit. But those are some pieces I've been working on lately. And then I also tried my hand at, before you send out your diagrams of, for your wig stands. So I tried one piece, and that's also poplar. That turned in, I put that, just used polymerized linseed oil because that was recommended in the online article that I read for the wigs. So I think it was one of my grandsons said it looked like, or maybe it was my wife. I don't know, it looks like a big mushroom. I don't know. But at any rate, that was my first try at making a wig stand for that effort we're going to have, I believe, in March.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Questions for Bob? Ted
I
Luttrell,
really
what
like
do you
the
got?
grain. I like the grain that comes out on that. It's not the, I don't think it's the, it's a softer wood and it's not as nice to work with as like I had cherry and ash before, but it turned out pretty good. It takes a good bit of sanding.
It's a nice color.
It did turn out pretty good. I'm waiting to see what happens with this beeswax. I hope it brightens it up a little bit.
It may well, yeah. Ted Luttrell, what do you got?
Oh, I've got a little Christmas tree I did about 6 or 7 years ago. 40 years ago, I planted white cedar trees around my house as shrubs. They got to like 30 feet tall. So I cut them down and I was making, I'm at my daughter's house in North Carolina. And this is one that I made for her several years ago. I discovered that turning white cedar, which is very soft, is extremely difficult. Last year, I got a hold of some apple wood, and as you can see, it's much easier to turn. And I made a whole group of these for her. She's got a little, she's got them all over the house, actually. But since it was a Christmas decoration theme, and I actually had them because it was here, I thought I'd show them. And like I say, each one of these comes in sets of 3, anyways, that's it. That was the progression to me was interesting because I found it difficult, turning this one, and I found it very easy turning these. So that's it.
Very nice. Questions for Ted?
What tool works best for cutting those narrower circles?
I start out with a I believe it was a 3/8 inch bowl gouge, but underneath here, I take a parting tool. So I do this 3/8 and I get it down there, but then I go in and underneath with a parting tool to finish it. That's the only way I can get it like that.
Bowman, what do you have?
I got bottle stoppers, but this one's a huge one. This one would actually topple over your wine bottle if it was getting near empty. But I'm holding this up because this comes from the Stevens Trade School. I inherited via a friend one of the old drafting tables, and it was the drawers on the side were too tall, so I cut a couple inches off the legs. I don't know what wood it is, actually. It had the smell of old furniture when I turned it. Here, I'll give you an idea. This one is, I turned smaller to make it more like a wine stopper. So it's the same foot as the other one. These two are oak. And then this one is actually the laminate. I'm a lazy guy. I don't like gluing up laminates, but I used to sail. I had a sailboat in the early 2000s, and I had to get a new tiller for the sailboat. They're always a laminated thing. I chopped 6 or 8 inches off of the end of it because it was too long for the sailboat I had. I kept it. I just threw it in a drawer, and now I know why I kept it. I made a wine stopper out of it without having to laminate up. By the way, these wine stoppers, thanks to the Lancaster Club, I forget who it was, showed how to use these with the little wood insert and then the plastic thing that fits on top. I have enjoyed that, except for one thing. I have been breaking a lot of these off. You know, if you hit the chisel too hard, snaps it right off. So I've taken to drilling my own in, and I've been actually making oak stems because they're a lot stronger. Yeah, so it's been fun. And then I coat them with Aussie's oil. And the higher you run the lathe, the hotter you make it, the more shiny it is. This one's the least shiny of them all because it's a very open grain, mahogany and whatever. Yeah. So I've been having fun this season making wine stoppers. I have a whole bunch of them down there. It's a good tool work. It gives you a chance to use your tools.
That was a demo by Ted Rasmussen earlier in the fall.
Yeah.
By the way, the fun part for me, and I had it on the pictures, was I've been pouring some epoxy. It all started to pour. I poured random pieces when I had leftover epoxy from a pour for a platter or something. And I start saying, you know, we got pebbles. My granddaughter just loves pebbles from the river here. So I started embedding them in epoxy with wood and stuff on. This is a big one. It's hard to actually see it. And woe be me, if you look at the top, I cut a little close to it. When you're turning epoxy, it's not clear until you polish it up. So you don't know how close you're getting unless you stop occasionally and try to shine it up a little. So I got a little too close on this one, but this has been fun. I'm going to do some more like this. So,
what do you do when you finish turning that? Do you use regular sandpaper and just bring the grits down, or I mean, how do you get that so shiny like that?
Here's the secret: it's the finish. I go down. I'm not a big shiny one. I go down to 320, and if I reach over and find a 600 piece, I will. But the secret is in the finish. If you put like Aussie's oil on, it'll cover up some of that streaking from the sandpaper if you have a little bit of it on. And then when you polish, it's a friction finish. So when you polish it real hard, it makes it shiny. So
and
yeah.
What's that oil called again?
Aussie's oil comes out of Australia, sold by PSI, I think is where I got it. I love this stuff for this kind of stuff. Man, it's quick and it's done. You know, I put one slathering coat on it and turn the lathe up fast, and soon she's shiny and done.
It came out nice.
Jim, maybe I could reword what you said about covering up. I think what happens when you're doing that epoxy filling, if you put epoxy over the surface, you actually fill in the sand cracks, don't you? And so it's just like almost filling it in or melting it down. It's not actually covering it up. They disappear completely.
You mean when I'm putting the finish on, Doug?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is it works.
Yeah.
But I did sand it. I haven't experimented with how much I need to remove the sand marks. I try to get them out pretty well. So, but it really does hide a fair amount.
Well, on that note, kids, it's 11 o'clock. We have some stuff left on the table here. We'll have to see your stuff next week. I'm sorry we didn't get around to everybody, but that's how it goes sometimes. We will be back next week, although not from I'm at the Kaufman Kitchen space now, the club space. Next week, I'm going to do it from my house. So if anybody was planning to come here next week just to be here in person, we won't be here. The next club meeting is the Tuesday after New Year. I guess what is New Year? Is the first, second, third, or fourth, whatever it is there. And that will be a hybrid meeting with people, some in the room here in Kaufman Kitchens and others on Zoom. unless we all get to, I don't know where we are with the damn virus. We do have a big cube fan working in the room that can filter all of the air, and it's a very large space. So we do what we do. And on that note, thank you all for attending today, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves. For those of you who didn't get to show slides, please do come back, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you,
Good
John.
holiday.
Merry
Great.
Christmas,
Happy holidays. Merry
Thanks
Christmas.
all.
Thank you.
John and everybody.
Happy holidays. Best of the season. Peace on earth and joy to the world.
Was that a platter talking there?
Yes, it was a platter talking. I'm talking in platitudes.
Platitudes.
Oh.